and Eric Sheetsaber. We're going to be talking through tonight's massive baseball slate. A lot of options, a lot of things to do. We didn't get to talk this morning. I had a pretty good night last night. I thought I was going to get all the money for a minute because the Royals did great, and they were low owned as I was a little surprised to see. But on to the next one. Well, what are your thoughts, Sheets? How did you do?
So I have questions for you. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some player specific questions, and I also have some weather related questions.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So first of all, I guess I'll ask you about the weather related questions. I mean, the most important one is the Braves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, because you have probably the best pitcher on the slate, who might not play. I mean, I may not play, but I mean, there's definitely some risk. And then there's, I mean, the Padres, I don't give a shit about, but that Cincinnati Atlanta, I mean, it looks like it's like legit orange, right? So I guess my first and Milwaukee, Chicago too. But my real question is, what are you? I guess we'll wait on that discussion. But there's definitely a question: what you're going to do with that? And the other thing I want to ask you is that there are two pitchers I want to that show up in projections, but does like Garrett Crochet still have that pitch count? That's the one question.
It's all speculation at this point. We got the news right before in the last games to start with Crochet. So we don't know what's going to happen with him. I have some of him, but I definitely lowered as like the day went on. I thought about it more. Even his, even other sites talking about how they have his pitch count lower than others. So I think it's he only pitched a couple innings. Now he's such a high upside guy that I think you probably want exposure still. And I think his ownership is lessened a little bit. But I don't know. It's a tough one. And then with Sale, I mean, it's just going to be large field for me at the moment because the way the game looks. But I initially had him as clearly the top pitcher, so I might have to decide whether I want to put any real dollars behind him. I probably will do it in one or two lineups that are like, the 88 or something like that I might do. But I don't think I'm going to go any higher than that with him.
Well, and there was another one. Is there an issue with John Gray?
There's no issue with him. I mean, not that I know of. Just he's been bad. I think that's what the problem was. Oh no, there is. I'm sorry. There's a speculation on his pitch count as well. Like, some places said it like 85. Some places said only 80. As a guy, he tends to get himself into trouble later in games or at the first inning. So
what happened? What happened to him? He pitched one inning in his last start.
Yeah. So the last start was when against Baltimore, where he was coming back, but then he like re-aggravated something. I think that's why.
Okay.
So I think that's sort of the.
I mean, because he's got their best matchup. That's what I mean. So that's why I asked.
Yeah. No, of course. But yeah, I mean, I still have some Gray. Like I think I actually have just because I started off liking a lot of pitchers and I like a lot less now. I have currently like 20% Gray. I'll probably end up with closer to 10. And probably shift. I already have a ton of Soriano, but I do like Soriano better.
I was going to say, so if Sale is large field only, and we're sort of worried about Crochet's pitch count, and we're sort of worried about John Gray's pitch count, where are we? Like Zach Wheeler?
It feels like Zach Wheeler is going to be mega chalk, and I actually think it's a good play anyway. So I didn't think Wheeler and Gilbert were that far behind. Now I have Wheeler and
Gilbert. That's right. I forgot about Gilbert.
Yeah, and I am like the early projections didn't have Gilbert anywhere near these guys, and now he's starting to pick up some steam. I think because people are dwindling a little bit more away from some of the Sale, although he's still projected to be really high owned at the moment. And I think they've shifted a little bit away from Crochet, and I think he's picking up some of that. But and I think you want to get some Luis Gil. I think that's another one. There's definitely upside against this Mets team. We've seen it before, so I have no issue with taking a shot with Gil here. But I have Gilbert, Wheeler, Soriano, then I still haven't taken a shot with Crochet, then Crochet as my highest owned pitchers right now. And I have a little bit of Berrios now because I sort of had to change some pitching things. So I got to a little bit of that. I could see him having just sort of an out of the, nowhere good game against this Tampa team.
What do you think? Let's talk about hitting then for a minute. As far as I guess we'll start with DraftKings. I'm playing the FanDuel has that cool tournament today. So I'm playing that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they had that 150.
Yeah, that's right. I threw one in there too.
Yeah. So I mean, Boston, I presume, is gonna be chalk again. And I'm probably gonna be well under again. What's gonna happen? But I am currently getting a decent amount of the other side of that, like Colorado, for one thing.
I like that.
And then, like, I kind of have like a lot of different teams, like Philly. I have, and then the Angels. Who do the Angels play?
The Angels are against Gilbert. I'm not going.
They're against Gilbert. Okay, that's just the thing. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the White Sox a little bit. And then again, Atlanta's got. I like Atlanta a little bit, but they have weather issues. And then the team I was getting a lot of earlier, but not as much now, and they may have some weather risk as well, was Milwaukee. What is what's the wind like in Chicago tonight? Anything?
Yeah. So the problem with this game is this is starting to become more of a worry. That's a shame for what I liked earlier, because I like you. I like Milwaukee, but I also really like the Cubs.
Okay.
And I like the whole game. And it's, look, if it plays, they say it's going to be later. So that 80 degrees that it's showing up as the temperature, it's probably going to be more like 70. But the wind at game time and through game time is supposed to be blowing out to right center. And it's 8 miles an hour there is like 15 other places. So it makes a big difference. But I think it's gonna be less significant if the game starts at and Ross said as late as 10 Eastern. If it starts as late as 10 Eastern, it's tough, man, because then you aren't getting the same somewhat weather benefits that it looks like you're getting.
Right.
So I have Milwaukee and the Cubs on DraftKings as my 2 highest owned stacks right now, along with the Dodgers. But I think I'm going to pivot a little bit away from that. I just really wanted to avoid playing Yankees and Red Sox stack. And that should answer the question that Dwayne's asking in chat. Over-owned is a hard thing to say because they scored 10 runs last night or whatever, even though they literally don't think they hit till the 5th inning. It looked like it was going to be Gomber City all the way. Maybe the 6th inning even. They didn't really start scoring till late anyway. But they're going to be so significantly higher owned, I think, than anybody else except for the Yankees. I think the Yankees will actually be somewhat close because of the pricing of the Yankees guys. So I think the Yankees and Boston will be the 2 most popular teams by a pretty good margin. And then I wouldn't worry about who you're playing too much because I think it'll be spread out. Maybe Toronto would be next in terms of ownership, but nothing that I wouldn't play after those 2.
Yeah, no need. I mean, again, I'm looking at who I'd be getting and then who I just don't have it in me to play. Like, I don't think I need to go play the Angels, even for leverage, because you know what? I was about to say, Gilbert's now going to be more popular.
Yeah, he is.
He is. But he doesn't give up anything. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. I mean,
I knew they played BGO today. God, I had to rebuild all my Dodger lineups. Sorry.
What happened?
It just the Dodger lineup came out, and it's actually it's what I thought, but not what any site was projecting. But they nobody had BGO playing today, and he's playing, and he's 2,500.
BGO is in, okay. And you like them today against Hicks?
I like the Dodgers, and I like the Dodgers, and I like the Giants a little bit.
Who's going for the Dodgers?
It's Landon Knack.
Okay.
And it's the only thing about these games that worry me for the Dodgers is the same thing I always point out. Just that playing these games, it always feels like the Giants just. It's not even that they play their best, but they're trying to manage it like you would a postseason game every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't usually benefit to a ton of scoring, but.
So what are we going to do about this Atlanta game?
I mean, this is what I'm trying to figure out too.
What time does that game start? Is that right off the bat?
It's 7:20.
All right.
So a tiny bit of time, but not a ton.
Well, who's pitching for the Mets that the Yankees have such a big total?
It's Quintana, but that's the thing is Quintana is we always know him as the guy who doesn't usually give up home runs. This year, I believe, I'm just double checking my numbers. He's been giving up a lot more. He gave up 4 home runs in his last start, which is wild. No, is that right? Yeah, he gave up 4 home runs. He still went 5 innings. He still had 15 fantasy points. That's pretty amazing. Yeah, he's been giving up more home runs this year. So the reasons to not used to stack against him were the ones I always would point that out, that he was really good at just not giving up home runs. And it hasn't been the case so much this year. But it's not that the Yankees, I don't think it's their total that's going to get everybody on them. It's the fact that Giamani Jones is 2.6K on DraftKings and 2.1 on FanDuel. It's that JD Davis is 2.1 on FanDuel and 3.2 on DraftKings. And then you've got Glaber's 27 and 3,500 between the sites. So that just makes it, and Narvaez catching at minimum cost. LeMahieu's 2,800. So everybody outside of the two guys, the Soto and Judge, are just really pretty cheap. So I think I wouldn't be shocked if the Yankees end up owned very similarly, like almost the same, maybe even as high as Boston.
All right, if it were,
that would have been the case. Sorry, go ahead, Chief.
So if it were 7 o'clock right now, with the news that we have on Atlanta, like just being orange or whatever, like, so you're right now thinking that, would you play like Sale in a big buy-in?
As of right now, I don't think I would.
Yeah, well, because you have their options. You know what I mean? Like you could play.
Yeah, like Zach Wheeler can outscore any of these guys anyway, and so can Logan Gilbert.
Right.
To be completely honest, Jose Soriano could even like put up like 30. It's not impossible against Seattle.
That's true. That's true.
And if I'm going to take my chance, I think I might take a chance on being look, it was before the All-Star break, the crochet thing. I think I might speculate that maybe he does get more of a leash tonight and use that as a maybe a little bit of a better form of
but that was just that came out like at like 15 minutes before lock, just some manager speak, which was correct, right? It's nice that he gave us that was nice.
That's true. Yeah, but that seemed very typical for what teams used to do with their pitchers, their ace pitchers before an All-Star break, is to especially
right.
if they were in the All-Star break.
Remember when we started talking about why would they let Cole go so hard and then they did anyway?
Well, he wasn't. Yeah, right. No, yeah. But sometimes, and other teams people approach it differently. But I'm going to lean on that it's more likely that Crochet. In fact, I think I want to get a little more Crochet than I do have right now, just because I don't think this is. I think there's definitely something to be like. It's a little alarming, but I'm not sure I'm buying that his median pitches. They did drop it down just now. I'm telling you on SaberSim, it's down to 88. It was at 96 to start the day.
So Crochet?
Crochet, yeah. It's kind of interesting. The thing about Crochet, though, is that I want to remind everybody, though, the problem is it's not like this is like look, they haven't been as great this year, but this team is not like they're not facing like the Rockies. You know what I mean? You're facing a decent offense.
I have a question. What about some of these cheapos? What do you think of Cooper Criswell for Boston against Colorado?
Maybe that's the one that bites me because that's the one I thought about for a while today.
Oh yeah,
but I thought that there's like a chance that he could just go in. I mean, like they let him go. Like I think this is most pitches ever in his last game. But he was terrible. He gave up 5 runs or whatever. And he only had 1 strikeout. He hasn't really flashed a huge amount of strikeout upside, and oddly, like the only times he has been against the teams that don't strike out. I don't really understand why. But I don't think that much of him in general. And I like the Rockies idea better, but he is 5,800. And, if you let's just pretend you were losing Sale and Crochet, then I think that play makes the slate a little more interesting because then you're just betting, well, look, if Wheeler and Gilbert don't get there, I've got a reasonable chance with my 15, even if he doesn't have a great game,
And a couple of other guys, I'll just throw them out there. Simeon Woods Richardson at 6,200. Not a great matchup, obviously, but he's 6,200. And the other one I would ask you about is the guy against Oakland, Jake Bloss for Houston.
Yeah, I guess that both of them feel like the same kind of a play to me. But I mean, Houston doesn't strike out against righties. That's a little bit of a tough sell for a guy who hasn't pitched more than 1, 3, 1, 1. I don't know how much he's going to actually pitch today.
So shows what I know. I thought Bloss was on Houston.
What? No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? I'm sorry. I was looking at Betos. I'm so sorry. I messed up. Houston. No, you were right. You were right about Bloss. Bloss, I don't know how much he threw 82 pitches his last start. He hasn't pitched more than 4 innings yet.
Oh, we'll forget that then. Okay.
But I mean, it's like, yeah, this could be the time where he does, you know, like, so I just think that there's other guys that I just would rather take my chances with, like, you know, a little higher, like Barrios. And
Just so you guys know what I'm doing right now, I'm like looking at the bottom of my pitcher exposure, and like that's why I'm asking Bobby, and just so I can just feel comfortable Xing some of these guys. Do you anything with Alec Marsh?
I didn't get there. I don't love it. I kind of like Arizona, but it's not bad. Like, I think it's an interesting pivot off of what's his name. He also in his last start came out of the bullpen. It's just kind of weird to track these guys because, like, you're getting like 1 inning, 2 innings here and there from some of them. And Marsh is a guy who actually will pitch, but like just kind of hard to keep track of him a little bit. I don't know why they brought him out of the bullpen. I guess it was maybe an extra inning game. But the Woods Richardson thing,
Soriano looks good. I like that. Maybe Barrios is the idea.
Yeah, I think that one makes sense. Woods Richardson, I think, is worth a gamble, probably more so than some of the other guys. But like Philly, I also really liked tonight. I didn't get to many builds with them, which maybe I have to go back and fix after we're done here. But I kind of like Philadelphia. It is an interestingly low total for a Philly team, though. It's only 4.3. You'd think it'd be like closer to 5. Just kind of interesting. But they're just so expensive, man. You gotta figure something out if you're playing them. Like,
yeah,
it's rough. They don't have the values. They got Marsh at 36, and they've got Rojas at 31 batting 9th. Everybody else is like mid 4s to lower 6s.
I'm getting a bunch of these Phillies, actually.
You are? So you must have some of these weird pitchers.
Yeah, well, if I'm getting rid of like the Sales and the Crochets, right? I mean, like.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not getting rid of them entirely, but I understand, yeah. And I'm going to just do this real quick so I don't.
Colorado, yeah, I like kind of like the way these are all going now. All right, let's re-put these guys in again.
Yeah, I think Philly's offense is. I mean, that's a high upside one right there. But I would be like a little bit just. These guys have had a long break, and it's just we don't know entirely how they're going to be treated. You know what I mean? And some of these guys, and then the other ones who've come in and just had the 1 inning bullpen session. Maybe we're letting that worry us too much. Like, right. Or maybe I am. I shouldn't say we, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of stacks that I like more than I did to start. And my first thing to get off when we get off here, I'm gonna add more Philly. And maybe I have to lessen my Milwaukee, Chicago, so I'll play more Philly, probably a little more San Francisco, and I have hardly any Boston players even. I might have to just have.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe the Colorado thing though that you mentioned is not the worst idea.
No, I don't think so.
No, it's one of those that I would actually prefer what you always say. You let SaberSim do it. You don't even look.
Yeah, something like that, right?
I look at their guys. I mean, last night I had literally Charlie Blackmon's exact price everywhere. I was not using where I wasn't using Houck or anything. I had his exact price every time, and I kept he just doesn't have any power anymore. Of course, first to bat, boom, it's a 2-run homer. Like I'm just, but like he hit 6 home runs in 300 something at bats. Like I don't know. It's going to happen sometimes, but I do think it's a good, it shouldn't be as low owned as it is. I mean, they have the second highest total. So it's kind of surprising because it's not like they're overly expensive either. And they've got a guy 2.4K in there at the bottom of the order. If you wanted to make a 5-man, makes it easy. He's actually supposed to be their highest owned player. So I think that whether you like the Dodgers or not, I'm just going to point out that I don't think you're going to get. I think the projections might be a little bit off with Shohei. I'm going to look at his FanDuel. Maybe his FanDuel one is the low end that ends up lower, but he's really expensive. But the main thing is though that that it just seems like because of the Yankees pricing that people are going to play Judge, and you really have a hard time when you start. And if not, I think they'll play Bobby Witt a lot tonight too. I mean, he had a ridiculous night last night.
He has a ridiculous night every night.
Yeah, he almost hit for the cycle last night, but he couldn't get the single.
Are you serious?
Yeah, his first 3 at bats saved a home run, double, triple.
What was the score? 10-3?
It was 10-3, but it was like they had 9 in the third. You know, like I
Oh,
was
I
excited.
meant like if in the last inning he hit the ball off the wall, do you think he would stop at first?
I think he would have. I think it's so stupid that people do that, but I think he probably would have. Maybe not though. Like he comes from a baseball family. That seems more like I don't know though. Actually, which way? I could sort of argue both sides of that one, I guess. But I do think that Ohtani ends up lower owned than he's being projected right now. I think that there is value, but I think the value coming from the Yankee game is going to lead people to play Judge. And I think you'll probably see some people try to get Judge and Ohtani in lineups, just if they have a 5-man Yankee stack, try to find a way to fit Ohtani into it. That's another thing that could happen. But I just like the low ownership on the Dodgers. Like I said, if you give me like even a B+, a B-ish pitcher, if the weather's warm in LA and the Dodgers are not healthy, but they've got some cheap spots in their order because of it, I think it's just a team I'm going to keep betting on just because that top of the order is so ridiculous. Ohtani didn't hit a home run last night, so he's probably due. Freeman. Yeah, it looks like they're getting a little bit of ownership on FanDuel, the Dodgers, but not on DraftKings, really. How about what they did with Teoscar Hernandez's career? Last year they did the same thing with JD Martinez. They made these guys literally their careers start to fall off, come to LA, and they're brand new. Home run derby champ. But last year JD was an all-star. Look, he's basically a below average hitter now.
Yep.
Okay, so I have some. Rojas was the only one I wasn't really sure about what was going to happen today.
So who are people projecting out? I mean, that's out
of the Dodgers. Some people had Rojas and Taylor are the main ones,
and they're out.
They're out, yeah. I like one play that I'm going to keep mentioning because I have a ton of this as a one-off. I don't know if people realize how much power Paul DeJong has had this year.
That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, it's really wild. But he's 2,900, and for a guy who's 2,900 who's going to hit 30 home runs, there's really no reason except for that. Yeah, he's not a great hitter. Otherwise, he doesn't get RBIs because they don't get guys on base. But I'll just take the home run upside at 2,900 as a nice solo play.
Yeah. Let me just see something. Dodgers. So Rojas is out. I didn't have him anyway. Chris Taylor is out. Didn't have him anyway. So I don't need to change anything there. That's good news. Okay. Let's go into FanDuel. Yes, I'm getting I'm definitely getting very lazy with the with my rain stuff today. I mean, I just listen, I'm going out, whatever. And so I'm Xing like the Brewer game even, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just because I can't deal with it.
Yeah. It's like that's one I don't mind because again, you have multiple outs there too, because they are getting a downgrade. The later you play, obviously the cooler it's going to be. And it looks like good hitting weather, but by the time they actually play, it may not be.
Right.
And it is weirdly I still can't believe the total is only 8.5 in that game. I really don't understand why. I guess Tyon has been pretty damn good, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah, that is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
All right, so it looks like
I might go watch Roth's weather report if we don't have too much else. Guys, if there's any questions or thoughts, please feel free to throw them out there.
Yeah, sure.
Giving you a rundown of what's happening now. Yeah, just SaberSim on its own just dropped Chris Sale's ownership down to in the mid-20s. He was up near 50 earlier. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a little bit lower. And hold on. That's right. That's FanDuel. They only dropped it into the 40s on DraftKings, I think. Yeah, I'm not buying these 50. They got to fix this. There it goes. Dropped down to 42, but it was at 48. Okay. And Crochet, huh? They're really thinking Crochet is going to be the second highest owned pitcher. Yeah. maybe the highest.
I think he's pitching. You know, like
yeah. I mean, well, I guess it's because they have him at 88 pitches, which that's plenty for him. I mean, that guy is incredible. As good as Strider was with like Skeens is like a better version of Strider, and Crochet is just like, I think he's going to be so good. Like, I think he's a stud. I'm going to be, this guy might win well, he's not going to win this year, but once he gets away from the White Sox. All right. Anything else, guys, to touch on before I get to go rebuild all my Dodgers?
All my lineups.
Yeah, exactly. You guys going to dinner out there?
Yep.
Nice.
Let's see. So Gil. Oh, Hernandez is playing. Okay.
I probably should have mentioned this earlier. Just keep in mind now that you don't want to be playing that Alvarez so that Nico, what is his name? Alvarez from Atlanta. He's batting second, and he's 2K flat. I had him a bunch as a one-off before, and I'm trying to get rid of that as much as possible now.
Which guy?
Alvarez.
ALV?
ALV, yeah, he's on Atlanta.
Well, I don't have
if
any.
you play him, I would only if I play Chris Sale, he'll be in those lineups. You know.
Okay.
You don't need to stack necessarily the team, but if you're going to play the pitcher, you're betting on the game playing, so you may as well play the guy. You know.
Right.
So I just have him only with Sale now.
Yeah, so we'll get a little Criswell in here, I guess.
Yeah.
To see what happens. What if Cooley Rodriguez is back?
He's on the IL now.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's going to go a 10-day IL. So he's gone for a little bit. I think Soriano in the higher buy-ins is going to be much more popular than some of these other ones. I think he's going to be more popular than everyone except for Wheeler if Atlanta still looks bad. All right. And then we got the company call in an hour. Okay. Anything else, Sheets, before we go?
I guess we're good.
All right. Well, I'm going to check on that game and the weather and everything. Good luck to everybody tonight. Sheets, have fun at dinner, and hopefully we'll see some screenshots later and some sweats.